Greetings, greetings. This is Tsepo with you. It is a new year. We welcome you in 2025. And I'd like to say compliments to everyone. Now, today we are embarking on a new season. And as you can see, many have been asking, but why is this guy not making a video? And today, I'm starting to make some videos. It's not very easy, but we'll get on it. But it's very simple. We're going to have conversation. And I would like to start with something very interesting, which is a topic on what is a man? What is a man? What are the responsibilities of a man? And I must say, this is dedicated to men, but actual fact, it's for everybody. Because all of us are interrelated, are interdependent, and we need each other. But there has been a very serious imbalance in our society, whereby you find that in churches, in our cultures, even when people are about to get married, the people who are being advised and given a lot of instructions and teachings, it's mostly women. Nothing, not much, is being said to men. And men, as we know, even in our culture, even in our churches or religiously so, we know that men are head. Men are called the head. And I've got a scripture to speak on this so that we can truly unpack this and understand how it really works. Now here's 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3. And this is going to be the base of everything that we'll be discussing going forward. And this is how it goes. But I want you to know that the head of every man is Christ. And the head of a woman is a man. And the head of Christ is God. Now, here Paul is giving an analogy here, or rather an understanding of a certain order of how God had intended things to become. And he says, the head, he starts with this, the head of every man is Christ. And the head of a woman is man. And the head of Christ is God. What is this telling us in the first place? Let's analyze it. Firstly, it tells us that there is no one who is just an independent head. Every head has a head. If Christ has a head, man has a head. And it starts with this part where it says, for I want you to know that the head of every man, married, unmarried, their head is Christ. What does this mean? It means that every man needs to submit themselves to Christ. Every man is called to obey and serve Jesus Christ. Every man. So, no man is independent by their own, even in our own cultures. If you look backwards, where we come from in African cultures, you'll find that there was a place called Isibaya or Lesaka Kasesotho. That place, or the kraal in English, that place is where men would come together and gather, and they've been coached, and sometimes there will be cases whereby they are being addressed for their families and all, because there was no man who would just do things on their own without having to be reporting somewhere. So this was a place where only men would sit down and be taught. And I want to say, our society today, it is so imbalanced that men are called the heads, but these heads are not taught anything. From the youngest age, men are supposed to be taught as head. Let me give you this scenario. Every king in all the nations, before they become a king, they become prince. And for one to become a prince or to be trained to become a king, they must first become prince. Now, there is a stages that a prince has to go through. There is a school that a prince has to go to ultimately prepare him to become a king. He does not just become king out of the blue. Because if he does, then there's going to be a mess. But now we are finding a whole lot of these kings or princes who are going to be kings one day, whether they're going to be husbands, whether they're going to be leaders in society or whatsoever, that they suddenly become kings or rather leaders, but they were not trained. What happened? What is really happening here? The problem is that our society has had a very serious imbalance. And I want to close this with a simple scripture that says in the book of Proverbs chapter 6 verse 10, and it says, who can find a virtuous woman? And it just says that question. My question has always been, who is this question addressed to? It's not addressed to women. And I know that most women are using this in their coaching sessions, in their teachings, Proverbs 10 and everything. The woman of Proverbs 31, it's 31 verse 10. Proverbs 31 verse 10. And you know, how they're using it is good because it talks about this character of a woman. But the main thing here is this scripture is dedicated or directed or to men directly to say who is worthy of finding a virtuous woman. And as you embark on this, I want to say, embrace yourself, men. It is time to unpack who we are. It is time to unpack what our responsibilities. It is time to unpack and really say, it is time to take over and become the real man. That which God has entrusted for you to say, you are the head of a woman. Meaning you are the head of the society. And if God has entrusted you with that responsibility, there is so much then that you need to learn. And I want to encourage you and welcome you. Sometimes we get excited to say, hey, I'm the head and I'm the head. And you end up abusing your family. You end up abusing your wife. You end up abusing even your own mothers as well. Why? Because suddenly you are the head. But what are the responsibilities? Are you really submitting to Christ? Are you submitting to God? Is God really giving you which direction you must take? And with this, I would like to say, embrace yourself as you are continuing on this topic of saying, who am I as a man? Who am I? What is a man? What are your responsibilities? May God bless you. Thank you.